What was your first conversation with Bill like? When was your first conversation?
Yeah, it was at the shoot around at the Maui Invitational. I went up to him and said, "Hi, I'm Jason." And he said, "Save it for the air."
And then at what point did you start to feel like you were building some chemistry with Bill? Was it during that first broadcast?
Yeah, it was game one that it was like, okay, grab on, right? But I'm willing to make an offbeat reference here and there, and I'm not trying to be self-aggrandizing in any way. I'm just trying to distill why it might have been that Bill was comfortable working with me among the other people he was extraordinarily comfortable working with. But part of it is that I'm willing to say something offbeat as well and ask him, hey, have you heard of the Decembrists? And I leaned into it so much that Sully called me after the game and he was like, hey, it was great. And I don't think Tim's gonna mind that I say this because we joke about it all the time. But he called me and he said, you're supposed to be my ally at the table. And you just went off with him. I was like, but it's fun, dude. And he was like, no, just like, I get it. I want you to do that. But just bring it in sometimes to make sure that we have the thread of the game as well. And Sully and Bill had such a close relationship and they loved each other dearly. And I love Sully as a producer in part because of how he handled that situation. He didn't say, you can't do that. You can't. He called me and he was like, dude, I love you. We've done baseball together, but you have to be my guy too here. And I was like, yeah, but I don't want to be too rigid. And he was like, don't worry. I need a little help sometimes. You got to get me to break. And it kind of set the situation for me to be able to just say, hey, I'm going to go here. Like sometimes I would just cut Bill off and be like, hey, we got a replay here. You going to talk about it or not? And he gave me the willingness to break down that wall as well. I just had it the other day. Like I thought of Bill as we're taping this yesterday doing a Tigers game because we had a third person in the booth. It was me, Kurt Gibson, and Carlos Pena. And Carlos came in, and so they wanted to put the three of us on camera to establish that. And somebody from the truck got in my ear and said, laptop, because my laptop was in the way of the camera slightly, right? But that's the sports broadcasting stuff that a lot of people care about. I get it. But they said laptop. And so we didn't take the booth shot right away. And I turned to Carlos and I said, hey, Carlos, I really apologize. We would have had you on camera sooner, but my laptop was in the way. And then after the pitch, they came and they took the shot. And, pardon me, but I did this with my laptop screen, right? I just pulled it down and said, see, this is why. But I don't think I ever would have done that without Bill Walton in my life, because sometimes I did just have to break the fourth wall down and talk about the technique of broadcasting. And I would just say, Bill, we got a replay here of the post up. You going to do that? And that's completely verboten in broadcasting. But it was like meeting an animal that speaks English for the first time. You have to completely break the way you structure the rules for yourself. And if you don't, you're going to try and do something that actually doesn't exist that day. He was an inventor.